Hi, I'm Kenya. My sister made my son eat next to the trash at our family picnic. 12 minutes later, my uncle pulled up in a limo. Not to show off, but to remind everyone what dignity looks like. But that moment, it was just the tip of the iceberg. Why would a family go so far to humiliate their own? And what did I do to finally stop it? Before we dive in, what time is it where you are right now, and what made you click on this video? Drop a comment below. I'm listening. The sun was merciless in Springfield that day, coating every surface with a sheen of light too bright to be kind. I held Jalen's hand tighter as we walked toward the family picnic area, his little palms sticky with nervous energy. He was humming softly, clutching a glass dish wrapped in foil like it held the key to his acceptance. The grassy field buzzed with laughter, folding chairs forming half-moons under rented canopies. Barbecue smoke drifted through the air like a memory you couldn't quite place. I scanned the scene. Familiar faces looked through me, smiles that didn't reach their eyes, nods that felt rehearsed. Jalen didn't notice. His world was smaller, and in that moment, it was just us. "I brought the peach cobbler, Mama," he whispered, hopeful. I smiled at him. "They're going to love it, baby." We approached Brooke, who stood beside a long table draped in gingham cloth. She looked pristine, like she belonged in one of those family reunion flyers. She didn't hug me, she just pointed. "You two can sit over there. Only spot left." I followed her finger and felt my stomach twist. 2 metal folding chairs, positioned directly beside the twin trash bins, overflowing, buzzing with flies. "I RSVP'd 3 weeks ago." She shrugged, the corners of her mouth tugging into something that almost looked like a grin. "What can I say? You're not the only one who knows how to click a link." I glanced at the tables, packed with cousins, aunts, even folks I hadn't seen in years. Not one empty seat, not one person offering to budge. "We can't all be VIPs, she added with a laugh, and others nearby chuckled. Not with her. At me. Jalen hesitated before sitting. He didn't say anything, just lowered himself slowly, dish in his lap. His feet didn't reach the ground. I could see his socks peeking out under his khakis. I sat beside him. The stench from the bins was unbearable. A waiter passed by holding a tray of lemonade. Jalen raised his hand gently. "Excuse me, may I have one?" The waiter looked at Brooke. She gave the smallest shake of her head, like a secret between adults. "Sorry, we're out," he muttered and walked away, leaving a trail of citrus behind him. Jalen didn't react. He just placed his hands in his lap, cobbler untouched. His smile had vanished, replaced by something quiet and small. I reached for his shoulder, but my hand froze midair. I had seen this before. This erasure. And I had swallowed it so many times it tasted like routine. You think it's just a chair, just a seat, just a missed drink. But it builds. Layers of silent rejection, cloaked in smiles and paper plates. I felt it all bubbling beneath my ribs, anger, shame, guilt. I wanted to leave, right then, just get in the car and drive until Missouri was behind me. But Jalen turned to me and gave me the tiniest nod. It nearly broke me. I stood up slowly, telling him I needed to make a quick call. He nodded again, always understanding more than he should for a boy of 8. Behind a tree, I pulled out my phone. My thumb hovered over a name glowing on the screen. Uncle Darius. I hadn't spoken to him in years. He was the one person who'd ever stood up for me, and been cast out for it. It wasn't about a chair. It was about how they wanted us to sit where we didn't belong. But I was done shrinking. I spotted it while grabbing lemonade for Jalen, taped haphazardly to the plastic drink dispenser like an afterthought. The event poster. A collage of smiling family members, toddlers with icing on their cheeks, older couples holding hands, cousins locked in exaggerated hugs. Everyone but us. My eyes scanned it again, slower this time. No sign of Jalen's toothy grin. No trace of me. It wasn't just a mistake. It was deliberate. The kind of omission that screams without saying a word. I walked up to Brooke, heart thudding in my throat. "You forgot us," I said, nodding toward the poster. She didn't even blink. "I used what I had. Maybe next time you won't skip the family photo shoot." I was there. Brooke's smirk was polite, professional. "Really? Huh. I guess the files must have gotten corrupted." Files don't erase just 2 faces. And definitely not mine. I remembered that shoot clearly. Jalen refusing to smile unless he was standing next to Grandma, me pulling him in and laughing through the awkwardness. We had posed like everyone else, but here, now, we were ghosts. I pulled out my phone. My hands were cold. Instagram, no tags. Facebook, no mention. The event had been shared, reshared, even featured on the church's community page. Not once was my name attached. Jalen's neither. I checked our family group thread. Dead silence on my end. Then Lena, quiet, observant Lena, slid beside me and whispered, "Check your messages." I opened our private chat. A screenshot glared back. Brooke's message to the family. "Let's keep Kenya out of the post tags, just for consistency. We don't need confusion right now." Underneath, a few likes, a few "got it," and then the real sting, unfriended by my own blood. One by one, names I grew up with vanished from my feed like we never shared birthdays or Christmas mornings. It wasn't just petty, it was systemic. I sat back down beside Jalen, phone in my lap like a piece of dead weight. He was focused on lining up carrot sticks into a pattern, unaware of the weight pressing down on my chest. I held him tighter. People talk about being cut off, but this was surgical, precise. They didn't need to yell, they just deleted, rewrote the story without us in it. No raised voices, no dramatic declarations, just a quiet undoing. 16 years ago, I had a seat at every table, a name in every memory. Today, I was the blurry figure no one spoke of, if they remembered me at all. A warm hand brushed against mine. I looked up to see Marcus, my cousin, always quiet, always watching. He didn't say anything, just slipped a small leather-bound trinket into my palm. It was Grandpa's old keychain, the one he used to keep on his belt loop, worn smooth from years of habit. He tapped my hand once, then left. I didn't cry. I stood up, told Jalen I'd be back in a minute, and walked toward the parking lot. No destination, just motion, just escape. My phone buzzed again. I pulled it out, expecting nothing. A name I hadn't seen in years, Uncle Darius. I saw the poster, "Let's talk." Jalen hadn't said a word all morning. He moved slower than usual, pushing scrambled eggs around his plate without ever lifting the fork. I didn't press. Not yet. The silence in our kitchen wasn't just absence of noise, it was heavy, like rain clouds gathering behind his eyes. He glanced up once, then quietly slid his phone across the table to me. The screen showed a photo, blurred but familiar. Jalen, age 5 or 6, standing alone, holding a sagging paper plate. The memory hit before the caption did. Hash sponsored by Pity. 3 years ago, same picnic, different sting. 16 years ago, I would have dismissed it. Said, "Kids are cruel, but they'll grow out of it." But now I knew better. The picture had been posted by Brooke's daughter, Kelsey. Her comment section was full of laughing emojis, some from cousins who used to run barefoot through sprinklers with Jalen. Back then, I told myself it was just a joke that missed its mark. I filed a report. It was taken down, quietly, without apology. And just like that, it was done. Only it wasn't, because even after all this time, Jalen remembered. He had heard what Kelsey said to the others that afternoon. He's only here because people feel bad for him. You know, like charity. I remembered his face that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, his fingers fidgeting with the hem of his pajama top. "Are we charity people, Mom?" I told him no. I told him we were invited because we're family, that love wasn't conditional, that people don't measure worth by mistakes or bank accounts. But something in his expression told me he wasn't convinced. And maybe, if I'm honest, neither was I. I hadn't realized how deeply the seeds had rooted, not just in him, but in me. Back then, I still clung to the hope that time could soften people, that showing up, being gracious, staying quiet, that somehow it would earn our way back into the fold. But yesterday proved otherwise. I looked at Jalen now, older, quieter, shoulders curled inward like he was trying to take up less space. I saw the way his eyes stayed on the floor when adults spoke, the way he second-guessed joy, like he didn't quite think he was allowed to have it. This didn't start yesterday. It never does. It was a slow burn, a patterned erosion masked as tradition, passive-aggressive digs buried under polite laughs, condescending grins disguised as concern. I got up and poured him some orange juice. He didn't reach for it. Instead, he asked, almost whispering, "Will they ever stop making me feel like I don't belong?" My throat closed. No words came, just a flood of fury I couldn't show him, because he didn't need my rage. He needed my resolve. I turned away before my voice cracked, walked to the bedroom, and opened the drawer I hadn't touched in months. Buried beneath old receipts and folded sweaters was a sealed envelope. Mom's letters, written in soft, looping ink. I stared at it, then I picked it up. The sun was still shining, but the warmth had faded from the air. Jalen and I sat quietly on our sliver of grass, distant from the tables that hummed with half-hearted laughter and louder gossip. He played absently with the rim of his plastic cup, and I felt the weight of eyes on my back. Eyes that pretended I wasn't there, and yet never looked away. The music that had once filled the picnic dissolved into background static, replaced by murmurs and the occasional clink of cutlery. I could feel something shifting. The calm before a social storm. Brooke stood. The hush was immediate, performative. She tapped the stem of her wine glass with a spoon like she was on stage. "Let's take a moment," she began, her voice syrupy sweet, "to recognize a woman of resilience." I froze. "To my little sister, Kenya," she went on, eyes landing on me like a blade. "The strongest single mother we know, always surviving, even when she probably shouldn't have had to." There were chuckles. Light applause. Someone said, "Oop!" like it was funny. Jalen looked down. His cheeks turned red. I felt my throat tighten, every muscle in my jaw begging to bite back, but I didn't move. Not yet. "And through everything," Brooke continued, "she still shows up with a smile. Not everyone would be brave enough to do that, especially after, well, you know." More laughter. Forks clinked against paper plates. It was meant to look like praise, but I knew better. It was a roast with ribbons, a thorn tucked into a compliment, a stage-crafted shaming. Then I heard it. My mother's laugh. Not forced, not confused, but familiar, light, cruel in its ease. "She's always been good at surviving her own messes," she said, nodding like it was fact, not fiction. I don't know what hurt more, the words or the rhythm of how naturally they came from her. My mother had always mastered silence when it came to defending me. But today, she chose a side. And it wasn't mine. 16 years ago, I needed her voice to tell someone I mattered. She stayed quiet then. Now she chose to speak, and each syllable buried me deeper. I excused myself, fingers trembling as I carried a stack of unused napkins toward the pavilion kitchen. No one noticed, or maybe they did, and just didn't care. Inside, I gripped the edge of the sink, cold metal against hot skin. The air was thick with the smell of mayonnaise and pretension. "They don't even see what they're doing anymore," I whispered. My breath came in sharp stabs. "This is just normal to them." I stared at my reflection in the metal paper towel dispenser. My lipstick had smeared, a red smudge below my lip, like a battle wound I hadn't earned. I wiped it away with my thumb. Slowly. The clarity came quietly. Not anger, not revenge, just precision. I stepped back, smoothed my dress, and walked toward the tables. They wanted a performance. I was done being a prop. Let's give them a stage. I stepped behind the pavilion again, but this time not to cry, not to hide, just to think. They had laughed. Not just Brooke, my mother, cousins, people I used to babysit. All of them smirking like I'd brought shame onto myself by simply showing up. For my child, for my dignity. I gripped my phone, fingers curled around the weight of years. This ends today. No speeches, no confrontations, just action. 15 minutes passed like molasses, thick with tension, and then I heard it. The distinct hum of an engine too smooth to belong here. A sleek black limousine curved into view, parking just outside the main gathering. Heads turned, conversation stalled, and there he was, Uncle Darius, polished, precise, timeless. He stepped out with the kind of confidence you don't borrow. You're born with it or you earn it in hell. He carried a folded mahogany table under one arm, a leather bag in the other. Someone whispered, "What the hell?" No one moved. He made his way across the grass, weaving through the crowd that parted like tide from a rock, reached us, nodded once, and without a word began setting up. Real linens, crystal water goblets, a bouquet of fresh hydrangeas from nowhere. bagged hot meals with warm bread wrapped in cloth. Jalen blinked. I couldn't speak. He finished, took a seat beside us, and poured water into our glasses like we were royalty, and this was just Tuesday. The crowd watched. Brooke's mouth twitched, trying to form something clever, but silence made her small. Then came the first jab. A cousin muttered under breath, "Is this a cookout or the Oscars?" Brooke laughed too loudly. Guess some people don't know how to just blend in. But no one really joined her this time. Across the way, Aunt Margot paused, tilted her head, and raised her solo cup. A slow, silent salute. And the kids, they looked. Not away, not with confusion, but curiosity. One nudged another and nodded toward Jalen, who now sat upright, napkin in his lap, chin held just a little higher. Darius leaned slightly and said only one thing, just loud enough for the right ears. "Dignity belongs at every table." Then he picked up his fork. I didn't argue. I didn't look at Brooke. I broke a piece of bread and handed half to Jalen. We ate in peace. No fists slammed, no voices raised. But I'd never felt louder in my life. This was the line. No more apologizing for my presence, no more shrinking to fit their expectations. Brooke didn't come over. She stood, watched, seethed, and then she moved, fast, toward her car. Cell phone already at her ear. Her voice was sharp and low. "She wants a war? She's gonna get one, but it won't be on display." I didn't hear the other end of that call. I didn't need to. I'd seen that look in her eyes before. Right before she twisted the knife where no one could see the blood. The air was too still. Even with music playing, laughter humming in the distance, and the faint scent of grilled corn, I felt it. That tight pull behind my ribs. I'd felt it before. The calm before the kind of storm that didn't announce itself with thunder, just silence. Jalen giggled at something Darius muttered while pouring lemonade. His face glowed in a way I hadn't seen in a while. But just as I let myself exhale, my phone buzzed. A text. "Lena, call me. It's about the house." The world narrowed. I stepped behind the food truck, thumb trembling as I dialed. Lena answered in a whisper. "I didn't want to say this in public," she said. "But you need to know. Brooke never filed the transfer of the house." My mouth went dry. "She told the probate office you verbally gave up your rights, claimed it wasn't worth fighting over." I gripped the picnic table behind me to stay upright. "That's not possible," I said. "That house was meant for me. My name's on that will." "I've seen the paperwork," she replied, "but that's not all. Brooke's been collecting rent, quietly, for almost 2 years. My vision tunneled. I flashed back to a night 3 years ago. Brooke had come over with a receipt for some minor repairs. I signed it without reading, half asleep, baby Jalen sick with a fever. She'd smiled sweetly, said it was just housekeeping. I never thought to question it. Now I knew why she looked so smug that night. The next morning, Lena picked me up. We went straight to the county records office. The clerk barely looked up when we gave the document number. "Yep, got it. Recorded under a voluntary relinquishment." "Wait." He zoomed in on the signature. "This was signed digitally?" I nodded slowly. "Yes." He clicked around, then hesitated. "Ma'am, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but this doesn't match standard authentication." Lena leaned over, eyes narrowing. "That's a forgery." "I can't legally say that," the clerk replied. "But if it were me, I'd get a lawyer, yesterday." And that's what I did. I finally used the contact Darius gave me a year ago. Marisol Carter. No nonsense. High heels like knives. Her assistant scheduled me for Monday. That afternoon, I pulled up to Brooke's house. I didn't knock. I walked right in. Brooke was in the kitchen, pretending not to be startled. "Wow, you just walk in now?" "No more warnings," I said, my voice flat. "Touch one more thing that belongs to me, and I will bury you in court." She laughed, too loud, too fast. "You've always had a flair for the dramatic." I didn't flinch. "Forgery's not dramatic, it's criminal." Her mouth twitched, but she said nothing. Just turned away, hand twitching at her wine glass. That night, I drove home feeling something I hadn't in a long time, control, until I stepped outside the next morning. Both front tires slashed, razor lines, precise, quiet, no note, no broken glass, just malice. I froze, heat rushing to my ears. Then I glanced up. Across the street, in the upstairs window of Brooke's house, a curtain shifted. Just enough. The game had changed. She wasn't hiding anymore. I didn't wait for an invitation to speak. The sky felt heavy with humidity and old tension, the kind that settles into your bones like bad memory. I stood in the middle of the yard, surrounded by folding chairs and plastic smiles. My fingers curled around the envelope in my bag, skin prickling with nerves, but my voice came out calm. I need to say something. That stilled the air. Brooke raised an eyebrow, already preparing to perform. I didn't give her time. I pulled out the letter, holding it like a knife. The envelope had been sealed for over a year. Mom's cursive still ghosted across the front. For Kenya. I found this after Mom passed, postmarked 6 months before she died. She asked me not to open it until I felt ready. And now I was. I unfolded the paper slowly, the crowd leaning forward like a tide. My voice didn't shake. To my daughter Kenya, I began. I want to apologize for my silences, for letting your sister dominate the story of our family. I see now how much I failed to protect you. You deserved the house. You deserved better. Gasps, murmurs. Someone covered their mouth. Brooke went rigid, jaw twitching. I regret not stopping Brooke sooner, I continued. But I always knew you were the one who'd rise above it. Brooke barked a laugh. You expect us to believe that? That's obviously fake. Lena stepped forward, a printed sheet in hand. I compared the letter to Mom's bank records, birthday cards, and medical consent forms. The handwriting is consistent. It's real. Brooke scoffed. Of course you'd say that. You've always been jealous. I ignored her. There's more. I read the line that changed everything. You crave control, Brooke, not love. And I see now it broke this family long ago. The backyard dropped into silence. Brooke's face went pale, fury swallowing her features. She charged toward me, reaching for the letter. Don't you dare use her to humiliate me! Darius stepped between us. Touch her again, and we're pressing charges. Brooke froze. For a second I saw the truth. Beneath the smugness, beneath the manipulation. She wasn't strong. She was scared. Scared of losing the mask she'd worn her whole life. You never wanted justice, I said, meeting her eyes. You wanted obedience. And then, the final fracture. No one said anything. Aunt Faye stood up from her chair, quiet but deliberate. She didn't speak. She just walked away, heels clicking against the patio stones like punctuation. Then another cousin looked down. Then another looked away. The power didn't shift in an explosion. It leaked out of Brooke like a slow puncture. All I had to do was tell the truth. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The letter had done its work. Jalen's hand was still in mine, warm and small, his thumb tracing mine like he needed reassurance I couldn't find words for. We sat together beneath the canopy of string lights, the low hum of a speaker now drowned in the louder silence of consequence. No one moved. Then Aunt Faye cleared her throat. I think it's about time someone else said thank you. It was quiet. Then Cousin Tyree added, She's held this family together in ways none of us wanted to see. A plate clinked. Someone stood, walked across the yard, sat beside me, then another, and another. Chairs shifted. Paper plates rustled. Bodies rearranged. Like a slow landslide, the family gravitated toward me, toward the truth. Every chair that emptied from Brooke's table felt like a courtroom verdict. Every movement a quiet rebellion. Then a cousin lifted a solo cup. To real strength, she said. Not a cheer, not a chant, just a few nods, a few damn right murmurs. And still I said nothing. Brooke watched, arms folded, her mouth parted like she'd swallowed ash. The authority she once wielded with a glance now crumbled with every inch someone moved away. Jalen asked me, Can I go play with them now? I looked toward the group of kids who had once giggled at his expense. They were laughing again, but this time not at him. Go ahead, baby, I whispered. He ran off, sneakers pounding soft grass, hair bouncing, no hesitation. Lena leaned closer. This isn't revenge, she said softly, eyes still trained on Brooke. It's correction. And when someone pulled my chair to the center table, the main table, I didn't resist. I just sat. The same way they used to sit without thought. Now they noticed. And Brooke? She tried. You're all being manipulated, she shouted. She's not innocent. No one responded. until Tyree muttered, not loud but sharp, "No, we're finally seeing." She stared at him, at all of us. Then she turned and stomped toward the house, her heels sinking into the grass like it was fighting her too. The screen door slammed. It didn't echo. I didn't feel triumph, just breath. My phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. "We reviewed the documents. You were right. We can move forward." I looked up across the lawn. Darius was watching me. I didn't smile, I just nodded. The storm was almost over, but one final thunderclap was still waiting. The hum of the backyard fell flat as the black limo eased down the gravel path. No honk, no announcement, just presence. Even the wind felt like it paused. Darius stepped out like he'd been summoned by something older than pride. In his hand was a folder thick with finality. Brooke took a step back. I didn't move. Jalen leaned into me, his voice barely above a breath. "Uncle Darius." He nodded toward me, then crossed the lawn with elegance honed by years of being underestimated. When he reached me, he handed me the envelope. I opened it slowly. Inside, the title deed, the notarized will, and a letter from the probate court. All signed, all sealed, ownership, mine. Darius didn't address Brooke. He turned to the group, his tone even. "Integrity doesn't need to shout." I caught my breath. 16 years ago, I'd watched Darius argue with my mother over holiday dinner. Back then, I didn't understand why he stormed out. Now I knew. She'd trusted him with the real documents when she couldn't trust Brooke. And he had waited, watching, confirming, protecting. The 12 minutes before he appeared today, that was the time it took to drive here from the courthouse. Brooke opened her mouth. "This is ridiculous." "No," Aunt Faye cut in. "This is done." Brooke froze. No one defended her, not even the ones who once echoed her smirks. Her spotlight was now a searchlight, exposing, not flattering. Darius crouched beside Jalen. "You didn't fold," he said. "That's what real strength looks like." Jalen nodded solemnly, and I saw something shift in his eyes. Not vengeance, understanding. Darius stood, and with one firm hand, he rested it on my shoulder. That simple gesture weighed more than years of apologies never given. I didn't celebrate. I exhaled. It was over, at least the part anyone could see. My mother never appeared. No apology, just the sound of her keys, her purse, the door. Quiet exits are louder when you expect a word. A few relatives offered soft, "Sorry, I didn't nose and I should have said something." I didn't smile. I didn't absolve, I just nodded. They weren't here to be forgiven. I wasn't here to forgive. Jalen held onto my hand tighter. "No one erases us again," I said, mostly to myself. When the sky dimmed into that golden softness before evening, I stood. We didn't say goodbye. We didn't need to. I buckled Jalen in. Darius got in beside us. As I started the car, I took one last glance in the mirror, not at the people, but at the place, at what it once held. Then I looked ahead. Some families break you, some help you rebuild. Mine? I chose which parts to carry. And as we drove off, I thought I was done with the past, until the phone rang. Sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And walking away isn't surrender, it's self-respect. I spent years trying to earn a seat at a table that was never meant for me. But today, I've built my own, and my son knows he never has to beg to belong. If this story stirred something in you, ask yourself, who have you been shrinking for? And when will you stop? Your dignity isn't up for debate. Your peace doesn't need permission. If you're facing family that dismisses you, remember, your value isn't theirs to define. Let's talk. Have you ever felt erased by the people who were supposed to protect you? Drop a 1 in the comments if this hit close to home. Or tell me, where are you watching from? And hey, if this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Let's keep growing, healing, and owning our stories together.